Have you ever wondered what would happen if you took a Pokemon game and threw it in a food processor? Well, today's your lucky day, as I'll be doing just that. Figuratively, of course. I'll be attempting a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Black with a really agonizing rule set. I'll be going over each and every rule, but they'll be in the description as well, so you can skip to here to start the run. First off, the base rules of a Nuzlocke. I can only catch the first Pokemon encountered in an area. If I already have the Pokemon that I encounter, or a Pokemon in that evolutionary family, I can find another. I also must try to nickname all new Pokemon. This is definitely the hardest rule to follow. Next up, the commonly used hardcore rules. No items in battle, no overleveling past the next gym leader's highest level Pokemon, and set mode must be turned on, meaning I can't get a free switch after an opponent's Pokemon faints. Lastly, the new rules. In addition to no items in battle, held items will not be allowed, nor will items outside of battle. This means I can't heal except at Poke Centers, so damage during the entire Elite Four section would be permanent due to them being 4 consecutive battles. The only items permitted will be repels and Pokeballs, while the only held items permitted will be used for level and EV training purposes, such as the EXP Share, Lucky Egg, and Macho Brace. The next rule is that if just one Pokemon faints, I automatically lose the run and have to reset. There's also a few rules regarding Pokemon's movesets. TMs cannot be used to teach Pokemon new moves. Move tutors or relearners cannot be used either. I can teach my Pokemon HMs, but just can't use them in major battles. The last and most important rule is that type matchups are inverted. Super effective moves are now not very effective, while not very effective and ineffective moves will be super effective. Except for the very first gym battle, this won't make the game any easier or harder, since the AI's choice of moves will be based on the current type matchups rather than the previous ones. However, some Pokemon will definitely become better, while some will become worse. All in all, that's 13 different rules, and let's start the run. I name myself Treblee and pick Oshawott as my starter. I should probably say that I've only actually finished Black and White one time, 12 entire years ago, and have never fully beaten it since. So this is definitely going to be tough. I defeat Bianca and Sharon pretty easily, then go to nickname Oshawott to Tawashow. I'm sure you know the theme already. On Route 1, I can either get a Patrat or Lillipup. Ideally, it will be a Lillipup with a Vital Spirit, since that'll eventually evolve into a Stoutland with Intimidate. I get a Patrat instead though, and name it Tortap. In Accumula Town, I come across Getsus and 7 people who kind of resemble medieval knights in chainmail armor. Speaking of knights, the Knights Revenant faction is home to over 50 different champions. This faction cannot be found in Unova, but it can be found in today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends has an incredible collection of champions, a fantastic RPG battle system, and challenging boss fights. If you want more specific reasons to play Raid, I'll just spell them out for you. R is for regular updates and content, as there's always new content arriving to Raid. A is for Arena, where you can pit your champions against players across the world, potentially awarding you medals to update your Great Hall. I is for impressive graphics, as Raid's graphics rival even those of PC games, and it's able to do this as a free mobile game. Lastly, D is for Dungeons, where you can battle terrifying bosses and obtain artifacts along with other resources. Raid's 4th anniversary is rapidly approaching, meaning dedicated offers, free gifts, promo codes, events, and a brand new fusion event where you guys can acquire a special anniversary-themed legendary champion. For those of you who have played Raid before, you'll be able to watch a recap video covering your stats in Raid. That means you can find out exactly how many champions you have pulled over the last year. With all this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, if you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Use my link in the description or scan this QR code to get some crazy bonuses. I'm talking energy refills, magic potions, XP brews, and an epic champion, Kellen the Shrike. And since it's Raid's birthday, there's even more. All new and existing players can get several free birthday gifts. Once you're in-game after clicking on the links, just enter promo code 4YEARSRAID to get your hands on 4 legendary skill tomes, along with some other useful stuff. Raid Shadow Legends is a masterclass of a mobile game, so I hope you'll give it a try. Thanks to Raid for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you on the battlefield. After Getsus finishes his speech, a sympathizer challenges me to a battle. N has a Purloin that outlevels Oshawott, but it only has Scratch and Growl. One Tail Whip drops Purloin's defense, and Oshawott outdamages it every turn from there. My encounter on Route 2 is Purloin, which I catch and name Nile Rook. I forgot to heal before battling Bianca, but Oshawott is level 10 while her 2 Pokemon are level 6 and 7. Lillipup only gets off 1 defense-lowering Leer before falling to Oshawott, and Bianca sends out Tepig. I use Tail Whip to turn Tackle into a 2-hit KO and take 6 hit points in return. However, the next turn, Tepig uses a super effective Ember, marking the first display of the inverse modifier. Tepig falls and I reach Striaton City. I immediately head over to the Dream Yard, defeat 2 trainers, and obtain a gift Pokemon, Pansear. Normally, this Fire-type Pokemon would be good for the first gym, since choosing Oshawott leads the player to battle Silent, a Grass-type user. However, because of the inverse rules, Oshawott is the Pokemon with the good matchup. I level up my Pokemon close to the level cap of 14 in preparation for the gym, destroy Cheren and Snivy, then clear out the gym. Though for some reason I'm forced to provide the only possible wrong answers to progress. As long as I can get through Lillipup without taking too much damage, I should be good. Water Gun deals about 40%, as Lillipup raises both its attack and special attack by one stage, effectively making it 50% stronger. Water Gun deals another 40% as Lillipup crits Bite to bring Oshawott down below half health. In this game, crits deal 2 times the damage, not 1.5. That's a little bit annoying, but I can usually play around the damage. The main problem, however, is that they occur 1/16th of the time and not 1/24th like in recent generations. I can't lose a single Pokemon, so one ill-timed critical hit can end this run. Silent heals, and Oshawott eventually takes out Lillipup, though I'm only at 6 HP. Pansage sucks though, and I'm in Torrent range, meaning Water Gun will be 50% stronger. Pansage uses Workup, and Water Gun does 90%. I can now either stay in or switch out and hope that either Patrat or Purloin can take 2 boosted Vine Whips. I stay in, Vine Whip brings Oshawott down to 1 HP, and I obtain the first badge. I've already risked 2 potential game-losing crits, and am not even 10% through the game. Good start. I save a mana from Team Plasma in the Dream Yard, but don't get an encounter there since I've already obtained and used a Pansear from the area. On Route 3, I battle Cheren, but again, he's the easy rival of the run. Oshawott evolves into Duat, and then I find my next encounter of the run, Pidove. After forgetting my Wellspring Cave encounter, I reach Nakreen City, then battle N. Duat repeatedly uses Razor Shell until I win. Just outside of Pinwheel Forest, I pick up a Tympole. It only evolves at level 25, so it won't be great against the upcoming gym leader, Lenora. Normal is one of the best types in this game. Defensively, it has only 1 weakness and 1 resistance. Offensively, it hits 14 types for neutral damage and the other 3 types for super effective damage. I can evolve Patrat into Watchog at level 20, by which time it has an incredibly annoying moveset. It'll outspeed Lenora's Watchog by 1 point, but Duat will not. I brought Pansear and Tympole to level 20 as well. Pidove doesn't evolve into Tranquil until level 22, so it's pretty useless. Purloin might have been, but I had no idea it evolved at level 20 for a decent time attempting this run. I had always assumed 22 or 24, probably because you can find level 24 Lipards around Nimbasa City. Either way, this run isn't looking great. Lenora leads off with a Hergier, while I lead off with Pansear. I have it use Yawn, as Hergier deals a ton of damage with Takedown. I switch into Tympole to survive another, as Hergier goes to sleep. Bubble Beam is a 2-hit KO from this range, but I can't risk letting Watchog getting a Retaliate off for free. Retaliate is a 70 base power move that deals double the damage if an ally Pokemon fainted during the previous turn. I switch into Watchog, but Hergier gets a 1-turn Wake Up and uses an unboosted Retaliate. In this game, Pokemon can wake up anywhere between 1 and 3 turns, meaning Hergier only had a 33% chance of waking up. I was under the impression that it was 1 to 5 turns during all gameplay present in this video, but apparently those other 2 turns were only present in Gens 3 and 4. Crunch KOs Hergier, and Lenora sends out Watchog. If I don't land a 60% accurate Hypnosis here, I lose. After a couple more attempts, I realize Oshawott probably isn't it. Water is normally a great type, but inverse battles make them worse both defensively and offensively. Conversely, grass types become incredibly good. Defensively, grass doesn't get much better or worse, swapping 4 resistances and 5 weaknesses. However, offense is where it makes a statement. 7 out of the 7 types normally resist grass, and only 3 are normally weak. Swap those around and you have one of the 3 best types in the game, along with normal and something I'll reveal later. I name it Banana. I then run into another Patrat and name it Apple. Lillipups and Patrats have a 50% chance of appearing on this route, and half of those Lillipups will have Intimidate when they evolve. Lillipup also evolves 2 times, clearly making it the better option. I've got a 2/3 chance of getting one on Route 2 though, since it appears 40% of the time, while Purloin appears 20% of the time. Patrat also appears 40% of the time, but can be ignored because of Species Clause. I unfortunately get a Purloin again, but catch and name it Current. I name the Pampor from the Dreamyard Dragon Fruit, but don't plan on using it in order to guarantee rolling a certain other Pokemon in the area. I've got to be chilly first though. Snivy has access to Growth, which raises attack and special attack by 1 stage. Lillipup matches with Workup. Vine Whip does less than 50%, while Lillipup sets up another Workup. Tackle, which is 50 base power in this game, brings Lillipup into healing range, while Bite doesn't deal 50% back. A couple Vine Whips later, Lillipup faints. Snivy is way too healthy for Pansear to pose any threat, and I get the first badge again. In the Dreamyard, only 3 Pokemon can be found in tall grass. Purloin, Patrat, and Mana. I've got 2 of those Pokemon, so I'm guaranteed Mana. The reason that this Pokemon is so good is that it can basically solo 3 of the Elite Four members with Psychic and Moonlight, as a Musharna of course. It only learns all these moves as a Mana though, so I'd have to keep it as dead weight in my party for a while. After running around for a bit, I accidentally run into a patch of invisible rustling glass leading to an Audino appearing. It can basically take on any Pokemon in the game at this stage one-on-one, so I catch it and name it Emblica, another name for an Indian gooseberry. The only problem with it is that it gets no recovery moves. I steal back a couple of Pokemon from Team Plasma and don't forget my Wellspring Cave encounter this time. I accidentally break the 3rd rule though, forgetting to nickname Woobat. My Pinwheel Forest encounter is at Tympole, but it starts to deal too much damage with Bubble Beam, forcing me to run. I train up most of my team, then challenge Lenora again. I lead off with Audino. Herdier deals nothing with Takedown, and Audino uses Attract. Attract will immobilize Herdier 50% of the time as long as Audino stays on the field. From there, I have Audino use Growl 5 times, then switch out into Servine. I think I only needed 3 Growls, so might have unnecessarily risked a crit a couple of times there. I have Servine use Leech Seed to regain HP, since I should be able to live a critical hit takedown or boosted Retaliate from Watchog at full HP, since Watchog has an attack-lowering nature for some reason. Servine is actually pretty bulky, with 60, 75, 75 bulk. Somehow, this is the only starter line in the franchise with both good all-around bulk and good speed. Kind of funny how it's regarded as one of the worst lines for Nuzlocks. After using Growth 3 times, Lenora heals, giving me 1 last free Growth. That's all Servine needs to KO both of her Pokemon. Well, that's what I thought at the time. Leaf Tornado is only 90% accurate, but I can still win even if I miss. It lands on Herdier, KOing it. Watchog gets hit as well, but doesn't go down, meaning I made a miscalculation. Watchog fortunately misses Hypnosis though, letting me use a 100% accurate tackle for the win. Audino could have survived a couple of Retaliates, and I had a full HP Watchog in the back, so I think I would have been fine. Team Plasma smokescreens the museum housing the gym and steals a supposedly important Dragon Skull, which I promptly retrieve. After speeding through the longest area in the game, I reach the largest area of the game, Castelia City. After getting my Route 4 encounter, Scraggy, I obtain the EXP share from the Battle Company and clear out Berg's gym. Berg has Bug types, the last of the 3 best types in the game. Bug hits 7 types super effectively now, and only 3 not very effectively. While the inverse modifier gets rid of one of the Bug type's issues, it doesn't really help with another. Bug types just aren't good in general. They have the lowest average base stat total of any type in the game. I lead off with Watchog, as Berg leads off with Whirlipede. I miss Hypnosis twice, but hit the 3rd time, putting Whirlipede to sleep. After that, I switch into Servine, which sets up 2 growths before Whirlipede wakes up. I use Leaf Tornado from there, knocking out Whirlipede. Berg sends out his ace, Leavanny, next. Due to a lot of speed EVs gained earlier in the game, Servine is actually faster than Leavanny, which has 9 more points in base speed. I should survive a non-critical hit Razor Leaf, but I'd prefer to hit Leaf Tornado to avoid that possibility. Servine doesn't miss, and Leavanny faints. Dwebble falls to a couple of tackles, and the battle is mine. Servine ended up learning Mega Drain at level 24, which can't miss unlike Leaf Tornado. That probably means I should have leveled it up just enough so that it would have hit level 24 after defeating Whirlipede. In the gate preceding Route 4, I've got another battle with Bianca. Herdier takes itself out with Takedown, but Duat gets a little bit dicey as I miss Super Fang. It uses Focus Energy, which raises a Pokemon's critical hit rate by 2 stages. In recent games, this would bring the crit rate up to 1/2, but in Gen 5, it's still 1/4. Audino switches in as Duat uses Water Sport, which halves Fire-type damage. Ironically, inverse battles are pretty much the only case where that move is even worth a shot. Secret Power KOs Duat in 2 hits, Mana in 3 hits due to a potion in between, and Pansear in 2 hits. Maybe Audino is too broken. 150 feet later, Sharon wants to battle. My newly evolved Liepard takes out Pidove, while Servine deals with Pansage, Liepard, and Pignite. In Nimbasa City, I defeat another 2 Plasma Grunts, and then encounter N, who casually reveals himself to be the king of Team Plasma. His team comprises solely of Pokemon from the desert area. Audino takes out Sandile, Darumaka, and Scraggy, and I eventually get in Servine against Sigilif. I'm forced to enter the Pokemon Musical Theater, but due to the secret 14th rule of no drip, I refuse to use props on Liepard. Elisa is going to be the toughest gym leader so far, with 2 Emolgas and a Zebstrika. One issue is that both Emolgas have static, meaning using contact moves against them will paralyze the user 30% of the time. All 3 Pokemon have Volt Switch, so they can just switch in and out if I try to lower their attack stats with Growl, and deal a solid amount of damage in the process. My concern regarding this gym was actually the main reason I played a few runs with Oshawott first. I try to get my Route 5 and 16 encounters next, but only get a Trubbish and Gothita. Trubbish can't even evolve until finishing the 6th gym, and while Gothita might be useful way later in the game, it definitely isn't right now. In Losthorn Forest, I find a Cottony, which is still weak to Elisa's electric types, so that was a fruitless endeavor. None of my Pokemon outspeed any of Elisa's, so I'll probably need a bit of luck to win this one. I lead off with Watchog and try to land a 60% accurate Hypnosis on turn 1. The first Emolga Volt switches out, but the second one gets hit. I go for a Super Fang, which always deals 50% of an opponent's HP, as Emolga takes its guaranteed turn of sleep. Yet another one-turn wake-up occurs and Emolga Volt switches out, going back into the first. Watchog gets off one Confuse Ray, but I have to switch out into Audino the next turn. Emolga breaks through and uses Volt Switch again. I try to go for Attract but get red as the female Emolga Volt switches into the male one. I want to take a KO as quickly as possible now, so I have Audino use Secret Power to take out the incoming Emolga. The remaining Emolga Volt switches into Zebstrika, and another Secret Power deals a solid chunk of damage. However, I now have only 2 Pokemon left that can take a hit, Liepard and Servine. I switch in Liepard to try to lower a Pokemon's accuracy with Sand Attack, but it takes more than half its HP upon switch in. Emolga has less special attack than Zebstrika, so I might live one more Volt Switch, letting me get one Sand Attack off. That scenario dissolves immediately, however, as Liepard faints, ending this run. Before that though, I want to see what would have happened if I had chosen to use Panpour over Audino, or any other Pokemon in the Dream Yard for that matter. I train it up until level 22, where it learns Scald, then go to Castelia City to evolve it. On the dot closest to Skyarrow Bridge, a guy will give you any elemental stone you want. Just don't choose the wrong one. Simipour deals almost 90% to Emolga with Scald, gets the burn, and KOs it with another after Elisa heals up. Zebstrika also gets taken out in 2 hits, though I probably did have to risk a crit. So unless I actually get mana from the Dream Yard, Simipour is probably the right option. Starting from the next run, I name myself M and reset until a run where I get a Lillipup with a Vital Spirit. I tried to name my Snivy Snivy, but I guess I needed to make it all caps for the name to actually stick upon evolution. On Route 2, I got yet another Purloin, and you can definitely see the mental exhaustion reflect on the nicknames. I pick up the Panpour for now, then challenge Chili. My Lillipup gets a Leer off as Chili's uses Workup. Bite deals about 60%, and while it doesn't get the flinch, Chili's Lillipup uses Workup for a second time. With a healthy Snivy in the back, this battle's over. My Dream Yard encounter is finally a Mana. I don't plan on deciding which of Mana or Panpour to use until the 4th gym. If I have a good way of beating Elisa without Panpour, I'll use Mana. If not, I'll use Panpour. On Route 3, I get another interesting encounter, Blitzel. However, I accidentally run away from a Woobat a couple minutes later. Pinwheel Forest encounters a Pidove, and it's time to battle Lenora again. I lead with Pidove for absolutely no reason and immediately switch out into Herdier to get an Intimidate off. I could have just let it and not let it take a takedown in the process. Anyways, Pidove will survive 2 takedowns from Lenora's Herdier now, so I use my 1 free attack to get a Growl off, then switch back into Herdier. 3 Intimidates is sufficient, so I switch out into Servine as Herdier misses an 85% accurate takedown. Herdier spends a few turns using Leer, which functionally is useless due to it requiring a critical hit anyways. Though this does mean I need to hit Leaf Tornado against Watchog to avoid a lethal Retaliate. After using Growth 6 times, Herdier faints to a Leaf Tornado, as does Watchog. I think I had lower than a 50% chance of winning that, especially with Servine's defense dropping nature, but I'll take it. In Pinwheel Forest, Pidove evolves into Tranquil, one of the few Pokemon in this game that can use Roost, a move that restores 50% of the user's HP. Should be pretty useful against Elisa. If you've been enjoying this video, please subscribe if you haven't already, as it would really help out the channel. Only 2.1% of my viewers are subscribed, so there's a lot of room to grow. On Route 4, I catch a Sandile with Moxie and name it Socks. Moxie will give Sandile an attack boost whenever it KOs another Pokemon. Its other potential ability was Intimidate though, which I wanted more at the time. That would let me spam attack drops by switching between Sandile and Herdier. Brogue is pretty simple. This time around I gave Servine more EXP so that it would learn Mega Drain upon KOing Whirlipede. Mega Drain KOs Leavanny the next turn, and Dwebble soon after. My encounters for Route 16 in Losthorn Forest were Minccino and Venipede, respectively. Venipede is one of the few good bug types in the game, reaching its final evolution at level 30. Scolipede has good attack and speed, and should be useful a little while after it evolves. Blitzel evolves at level 27, so I can have my own Zebstrika during the battle against Elisa. Both Zebstrikas have the ability Lightning Rod, giving them an immunity and special attack boost when hit by a would-be super effective electric type attack. Zebstrika and Tranquil should be key players in this battle. None of Elisa's Pokemon can deal super effective damage to Tranquil, so Roost will be pretty useful. I lead off with Herdier to intimidate Emolga, which will basically force it to use Volt Switch, its only special attack. Substrika eats that move up, and then takes a little bit of damage from Quick Attack the next turn. Not sure why Emolga didn't use Aerial Ace given that it's super effective. Maybe the trainer AIs aren't perfect yet. Shockwave deals about 60%, and then I switch into Tranquil, which takes another Quick Attack. I get a little bit greedy and switch back into Substrika because I don't want Emolga to Volt Switch out yet, but it uses Pursuit, dealing some temporary damage to Tranquil. Electric types can be paralyzed in this game, so I have Substrika Thunderwave Emolga. For some reason, I Shockwaved the next turn, making the previous 4 turns useless. I am not sure what I was thinking there, but I probably wanted Elisa to burn her healing items on one of the Emolgas instead of Substrika. Fortunately, I get a second chance. After switching between Herdier and Substrika, I finally get the second Emolga into healing range. After she burns her second potion, I get to bring in Tranquil again for free. Air Cutter eventually takes it out, forcing Elisa's final Pokemon out. Substrika uses Flame Charge, not even dealing enough to KO with a critical hit. Tranquil uses Roost to reach about 85% of its maximum HP. Growl lowers Substrika's attack by 1 stage the next turn, and after another Roost, Tranquil's ready to fire back. The first Air Cutter gets a critical hit, and the second one KOs, winning me the Bolt badge. Herdier and Servine solo Charon, and then the two of us team up to defeat a couple of preschoolers. On Driftvale Drawbridge, I pick up a Ducklet, which is just going to be the Pokemon that uses Surf and Fly this run. I reach Driftvale City soon after. I find an interesting trade proposition in one of the houses, Minccino for Basculin. Basculin is level 25 and has an attack boosting nature too. The original trainer named it Red Eye because it has a red eye. The simplicity fits the nicknames of this run, to be honest. In the grass near the cold storage, I find a Timber, but it's pretty useless since its final stage, Conkeldurr, is a trade evolution. Team Plasma is camping out in a storage room, but Clay arrests them after I win a few fights. That unlocks the gym where I can battle Clay. The level cap is 31, so both Herdier and Tranquil are stuck in their current forms due to their evolutions occurring at level 32. Whirlipede can still evolve though. My Route 6 encounter is the Bug and Grass type Swadloon, but it'll be pretty terrible against Clay's ground types. Substrika won't be though. Clay leads off with a Croc Rock, but it falls to a super effective Spark. Palpitoad is next, but feints to 2 Flame Charges. Excadrill is last and falls to 2 Sparks. Easiest battle yet, and that's 5 gyms down. Clay clears out the webs blocking Chargestone Cave, and I get a Joltik as my encounter. Joltik might be smaller than the palm of your hand. Don't believe me? Just look at this image. Professor Juniper gives me the Lucky Egg, which should rapidly speed up grinding. I think Team Plasma might have the most appearances of an evil team in any Pokemon game, as it just feels like they've been present between every single gym. At level 32, the Dog evolves into Stoutland, and Unfazed evolves into Unpheasant. There's a battle with N at the end of the cave, but pretty much all of the Chargestone Cave Pokemon are weak to Unpheasant, so I exit to Mistralton City soon after. I can't battle Skyla until I climb Celestial Tower, so I head north onto Route 7 where I encounter a Deerling. Saucebuck is a solid Pokemon at this challenge, but it does a lot of the same things Serperior does, making it a bit redundant. Once I reach the top of the tower, I prep for Skyla and her flying types. Scolipede, Stoutland, and Servine should be the key players here. Scolipede actually outspeeds all of Skyla's Pokemon. I lead with Stoutland to intimidate her Swoobat, which only knows physical attacks. I switch into Servine as Swoobat sets up an Amnesia, raising its special defense by 2 stages. After setting up 1 growth, Leaf Blade picks up the KO. Swanna is sent out next since it has a super effective Bubble Beam, so I've got to switch out. It sets up Aqua Ring as I send Stoutland back in. Aqua Ring is a move that restores 1/16 of the user's HP per turn, so it's basically like a leftovers. After trading Crunches and Air Slashes, I switch in Scolipede, which resists Air Slash. Bug Bite takes out the remainder of Swanna's HP. Skyla's Unpheasant takes 50% from a Bug Bite and wastes its only attack on a Leer. 1 turn later, I've earned my 6th badge. N intentionally jump scares me upon exiting the gym. Why else would he have stood that far left of the door instead of directly in front of it? In front of Twist Mountain, I've got another battle with Sharon. Servine deals with Unpheasant pretty easily, and Sharon sends out Simisage. I switch in Basculin, which takes about 30% from Seed Bomb. It can survive a critical hit from this range, so I stay in, take a Seed Bomb, and fire back with Aqua Tail to knock out Simisage. Sharon sends out Pignite, so I switch into Stoutland. Unfortunately, Stoutland gets crit immediately. I decide to risk the crit given that Pignite could use its other 3 moves, or simply miss Takedown. That plan almost backfires, but the second Takedown doesn't crit. Stoutland comes out victorious, though I think I could have switched out to Servine or Unpheasant to be safer. Lightbar doesn't have Pursuit, so I can safely switch into Unpheasant, which eventually wins the 1v1. Alder jumps down a cliff even though the stairs are literally visible, then gives Sharon and I the HM for Surf. Servine evolves into Serperior at level 36 and now knows Coil, though I did have to get rid of Leech Seed. Coil raises the user's attack, special attack, and accuracy by 1 stage each. My encounter in Twist Mountain is a Boldore which, like Timber, needs to be traded to reach its final evolved form. It might also allow me to use Species Clause on a future encounter though. Twist Mountain, contrary to its name, isn't that annoying to get through. I reach Isserus City, where Professor Juniper's dad greets me with good etiquette, in front of the exit. The 7th gym leader, Bryson, uses ice types. None of them except Beartic can even touch Serperior though. Vanillish can lower accuracy with Mirror Shot, but I've got Coil to negate the drop in that scenario. Serperior sets up 3 growths, while Vanillish sets up 3 acid armors, maximizing its defense stat. Mega Drain deals about 50% the first time, as Vanillish Mirror Shots. Since another Mega Drain might not KO, I use Coil to ensure I'll have a normal accuracy by the time I KO Vanillish. After 1 more growth, Mega Drain takes out Vanillish. Beartic shows up next, but is no match for a +5 Leaf Blade. Cryogonal meets the same fate shortly after. Team Plasma rushes through Dragon Spiral Tower, so I've gotta chase after them. My encounter here is Golett, a ground and ghost type Pokemon. At the top of the tower, I learned that N has befriended Zekrom, which can supposedly destroy the world. After Generation 2, Game Freak just decided to spam world-destroying legendaries. Alder recommends a visit to Relic Castle to find the other legendary, so I head over to the desert resort west of Route 4. I haven't gotten an encounter at either the resort or the castle, even though both were accessible following the 3rd gym. My encounter in the resort is a Sigilif, which is actually great. Anything except for Dwebble was honestly good enough, but Sigilif is the only psychic type available in the game with both high special attack and high speed. It also has the ability Magic Guard, as you can see from it not taking damage from the Sandstorm. Magic Guard also stops the damage from status effects and entry hazards. For my Relic Castle encounter, I talk to a backpacker to receive the Plume Fossil, which will turn into an Archon. Since I can't heal between Elite Four battles, speed is pretty important. Relic Castle turns out to be a red herring, so I guess Team Plasma was just there to troll us. I do get the Lightstone in Nakreen City, which was in the museum the entire time. Kinda funny that Team Plasma took the Dragon Skull and ignored the actual dragon. After training my Pokemon for a bit on Route 8, I begin the hardest rival battle in the entire game. And I definitely chose the worst time to play terribly. Bianca and I both lead off with our intimidating Stoutlands. On turn 1, we match workups. My Stoutland uses Crunch, as hers sets up another. The next Crunch crits, putting her Stoutland into healing range. On the heal, I work up again, leading to Retaliate being a 2-hit KO from that point. I keep Stoutland in on the Simisear, which barely does any damage with Flame Burst. Simisear eventually goes down, but not before putting Stoutland into KO range. Samurott has only one Water-type move, the 40 base power Aqua Jet. I switch in Scolipede to take an Aqua Jet or Slash, then immediately switch out into Basculin to take the Fighting-type Revenge. Based on the damage from Revenge, Aqua Jet will not KO since it only does twice as much to Basculin. 40 base power, 60 with the same type attack bonus, and 120 since it's super effective. Samurott uses Aqua Jet and KO's Basculin without a crit. I forgot it was raining. So the power of Aqua Jet was boosted by another 50%. I should have realized that when I saw the Flame Burst do so little to Stoutland, but that's a very demoralizing end to this run. Given that this was by far the furthest I had advanced, I decided to continue the attempt until the end of the game, if at the very least to help create a partial blueprint for a run in the future. I'll show bits and pieces from it when relevant, but for now, I'll show a future run. I start off great with an Intimidate Hergier from Route 1, a Patrat from Route 2, a Servine without a defense-dropping nature, a Pidove from Route 3, and a Dreamyard Panpour with some of the worst stats possible. I completely bypassed finding a Munna this time, due to a realization during the last run that it would need to dodge a few too many crits against Caitlin's psychic types. Panpour also provides solid backup during one of the tougher gym battles, so I decide I might as well go for it. I catch a Roggenrola inside Wellspring Cave and a Tympole outside Pinwheel Forest. I actually level up my usable Pokemon all the way to the cap this time, then challenge Lenora. We both lead off with Hergier, trading attack drops. Washaw can take a takedown critical hit, so I switch into it. I switch back out into Hergier for his second Intimidate, then swap into Pidove, which blocks Lenora's Leer with its ability, Big Pecs. Big Pecs stops defense drops and only defense drops, so it's very rarely useful. I have Pidove use Growl once as Hergier misses takedown. That's enough attack drops for Servine to clean up, and Hergier misses yet another takedown. After setting up a Leech Seed, we alternate takedowns and growths. 5 is enough to guarantee the KO on Watchog, so I start firing off Leaf Tornadoes immediately after Lenora heals Hergier. The first KOs Hergier, and since my HP is full, I'll have at least 2 chances to hit the second, barring a Retaliate critical hit. Watchog doesn't get a chance to move though, marking the completion of my best Gym 2 battle, with only 2 or 3 game-losing crits being risked. Watchog sets up the fight against Berg with 1 Hypnosis against Whirlipede, allowing Servine to set up and destroy all 3 Pokemon like usual. My team is in good shape for Elisa, though this Simipour is unbelievably slow. Tranquil safely takes out both the Mulgas by itself with carefully timed air cutters and roosts. Against Zebstrika, I have Tranquil heal back to full health and then use Growl. At some point, Zebstrika starts using Spark even though it's not very effective. And Volt Switch, though that's probably due to the Growl. Either way, a few more air cutters take out Zebstrika, and literally none of my other Pokemon ended up being necessary. Clay's battle should be pretty easy as well, though I might have to risk 1 or 2 crits. I just need to make sure that Excadrill is sent out last. This can either be done by having Herdier or Watchog out on the field when Clay's Krokorok faints. Krokorok doesn't have Intimidate, so I decide to set up a workup with Herdier to confirm a KO with Crunch. Unfortunately, Krokorok uses Swagger, confusing Herdier. I don't want to risk Herdier hitting itself in confusion, and Intimidate might still be useful later, so I switch into Watchog. It eats a Bulldoze, but gets its speed lowered. Krokorok uses Torment, preventing Watchog from using the same move twice in a row, but 1 Crunch knocks Krokorok out. Palpitoad uses Aqua Ring, while Watchog uses Super Fang to remove 1/2 of its HP. I should have 2 chances to land Hypnosis given that Palpitoad's strongest attack, Muddy Water, is a 3-hit KO from this range. Watchog takes the attack, doesn't get accuracy dropped, and lands the Hypnosis. This gives me a safe switch into Boldore as Palpitoad takes its first turn of sleep. It can wake up after anywhere from 1 to 3 turns of sleep, meaning it has a 33% chance to wake up. Again, I thought these numbers were 1 to 5 turns and 20%. Palpitoad stays asleep and Rock Slide KOs it. That leaves Clay's Excadrill, which cannot KO me even with a critical hit due to Sturdy, which blocks 1-hit KOs from full health. Rock Slide KOs Excadrill to win me the battle. If Hypnosis had missed or Palpitoad had woken up, I would have needed to avoid 1 critical hit from Slash with Boldore. Boldore can evolve, so it immediately goes into the retirement box. My encounters all around Mombasa were a Sandile from Route 4, which has Intimidate this time, a Trubbish from Route 5, a Minccino from Route 16, a Swadlin from Losthorn Forest, and a Ducklet on the Driftvale Drawbridge again. I also caught a Deerling on Route 6, which I probably would use if I didn't already have a Serperior. I pick up the Sandile for now, since a ground type might be useful against Skyla. In Chargestone Cave, I draw another Joltik, in part thanks to my Boldore odds improving a bit. Joltik's evolution, Galvantula, was pretty important to my Elite 4 run in the previous attempt shown in the video. I also pick up a Zebstrika on Route 7 and Litwick in the Celestial Tower. Unpheasant is the key to winning this battle since it's my only Pokemon that can outspeed all 3 of Skyla's. It does speed tie with Swoobat though, so I've got to be careful there. Skyla leads off with Swoobat, and I lead off with Stoutland. Swoobat has Amnesia along with 3 physical attacks. I Leer once as Swoobat doubles its special defense with Amnesia. I then switch into Servine, which takes almost nothing from a 110 base power stab acrobatics. Leech Seed guarantees this matchup, so I just need to find a way to get my Unpheasant in safely. I wait until Skyla burns a Hyper Potion first though. Even a crit from Swoobat's Heart Stamp deals no more than 40. While I'm waiting for Skyla to burn her second Hyper Potion, I get crit by acrobatics. Swoobat's damage output is actually terrible. Skyla sends in her Unpheasant next, which proceeds to be knocked out by a critical hit Air Slash. Last is Swanna, which I try to flinch down with Air Slash. It sets up an Aqua Ring on the first attempt, but gets crit and flinched on the second. Swanna wouldn't be able to KO Unpheasant with a crit of its own, so I think I was pretty much set for that battle anyways. I destroy Sharon near Twist Mountain and arrive back at Isserus City. In all honesty, it would have been more of a challenge to find a way to lose this battle. I effectively have a 75% chance of getting Mienfoo as my Dragon Spiral Tower encounter, given that I've already caught 60% worth of the outside encounters. Mienfoo was a mon I was hoping for in my previous run due to fighting types being great against the Ghost and Psychic type Elite 4 members, Chantal and Caitlyn. Unfortunately, I noticed soon after catching one that its level up move pool was pretty lackluster. No setup moves and no useful coverage besides U-turn, which forces you to switch out anyways. After scaling Dragon Spiral Tower, I fly to the Desert Resort where I can get an encounter. I pick up the Archon Fossil once more, grab the Lightstone, and prepare for the Bianca fight I lost previously. This involves evolving Krokorok into Crocodile at level 40. It's fortunately not raining this time, so this battle should be a lot easier. I lead off with Crocodile, which trades Intimidates with Bianca's Stoutland. I immediately switch into my own Stoutland, and Bianca's uses Workup. This tells me it's likely trying to use Workup again to get back to a neutral attack stat, letting me use Leer to lower its defense. It's worth noting that I decided to forego Retaliate in this run in order to keep Leer. I have Stoutland use Crunch to deal a little more than 50% as Bianca's Stoutland uses Workup yet again, spelling its doom the following turn. I'm guessing it always tries to reach a stage of boosted attack before actually attacking. I debate switching out into Serperior against Simisear, but decide to keep Stoutland in. Simisear uses Leer, while Stoutland uses Crunch. I then switch out into Superior, which takes nothing from a 70 base power Flame Burst. I get greedy and decide to use Coil to help me against Samurott, but get punished by a critical hit Flame Burst. I have Superior use the 40 base power Mega Drain to try to force Bianca to use a full restore, but the attack, which isn't even boosted by Coil, KOs without a critical hit. I switch back to Crocodile against Samurott and take just 9 damage from Revenge. From there, I fire off a few attacks until I get close to slash critical hit range, then switch to Stoutland. I have Stoutland use Work Up once, then KO Samurott the following turn. Musharna doesn't have any attacks besides Psybeam, so Takedown is safe here even though it can miss. It deals about 70% as Musharna uses Lucky Chant, protecting it from critical hits. From there, I just use Leer a couple of times and switch out since I don't want Stoutland to surpass the level cap, though Crunch would have KO'd. Leaf Blade ends the battle, and I'm officially the farthest I've ever been into the run. I enter Tube Line Bridge only to see Getsus blocking off the exit to Route 9. It's kinda funny that the upbeat Tube Line Bridge theme transitions right into an ominous Team Plasma theme. I advance to first base on a hit by Fling, then reach a Pellucid City, where Getsus manipulates yet another audience into questioning their morals. After Drayden gives me no useful information on how to draw Reshiram out of the Lightstone, I've gotta battle him. Getting through the gym was a long and annoying process, so I decided to begin the battle without actually healing. Don't worry, I double-checked that Superior was healthy enough to take a critical hit Dragon Tail from Fracture. Yes, Dragon Tail would switch Superior and any boosts out, but the rest of my Pokemon are more than enough to win. It also basically never presses Dragon Tail on turn 1. Growth guarantees that Leaf Blade will KO the following turn, as Fracture gets a critical hit with Assurance. Leaf Blade KOs Fracture, letting Superior hit level 44, where it learns Giga Drain. It's just Mega Drain but almost 2 times stronger. Druddigon takes 90% from Giga Drain and uses Night Slash instead of Dragon Tail. Drayden heals, but the second Giga Drain crits to pick up the knockout. Haxorus is Drayden's ace, but poses no threat due to its horrendous special defense stat. With that, I've obtained all 8 gym badges. I think I forgot to record a large proportion of Route 10, including the final rival battle, but in my previous run, Superior swept all 4 of Charon's Pokemon after 1 Coil. I need to determine which Pokemon to use against the Elite Four now. Superior and Stoutland are definitely staying, even though their EVs have almost been maxed out. Joltik is definitely joining the team, since a special attacking bug type will be valuable against Marshall's fighting types, and Chantal's ghost types. Zipstrika is probably the best mon I have remaining, though its low bulk leaves a lot to be desired. That's 4 mons, so I need 2 more. I revive the Plume Fossil in Nacrene City, receiving an Archon. Archon and its evolution, Archeops, have great offensive stats, but suffer from a terrible ability named Defeatus that halves attack and special attack if the Pokemon is under 50% health. This Archon, in particular, has single-digit defense and special defense IVs, which are randomized from 0 to 31. At least the nature isn't that bad. The next Pokemon I obtain is found close to Driftveil City in the Mistralton Cave. Since I can't use TMs, Flash is not allowed to be used to brighten the cave up. I use a Repel so I don't run into any wild Axews, and enter every possible Dust Cloud. After getting a lot of gems, I eventually run into a Drillbur. I wanted this Drillbur to be level 28 so it could have both Hone Claws and Metal Claw, but this one will have to do. It has one of the best possible natures, but a really low speed IV. Drillbur evolves into one of the best Pokemon for Nuzlocke, Excadrill. This is one of the fastest mons in the game to get Sword Stance by level up. So isn't this Pokemon kind of broken? Not exactly. Its typing is actually horrendous. A Ground and Steel type Pokemon is one of the worst defensive typings in the game. It is weak to 11 different types, and there are only 17. Keep in mind Dark and Ghost types weren't neutral against Steel types until Generation 6. I'm gonna have to invest a lot of defensive EVs into it so it can survive some attacks. EV training was performed by giving Pokemon entering battle a Macho Brace, which was obtained east of Nimbasa City. For Galvantula and Archeops, I just maxed out their attacking stats, gave them enough speed to outspeed every Pokemon present in the Pokemon League, and dumped the rest of the EVs into bulk. HP for Archeops and special defense for Galvantula. For Zipstrika, I invested in both attacking stats since both Wild Charge and Discharge could be usable. Though they didn't have much room to grow, both Superior and Stoutland gained a little more attack, speed, and HP. I also found out that Superior had around 2 IVs each in HP, attack, and defense. So I probably was luckier than I initially had thought during that Lenora battle. They're still impressively bad IVs though. Excadrill's EV spread was a little bit weirder. I maxed out its attack, put just enough into speed to outspeed Caitlin's Sigilith, then dumped the rest of the EVs into special defense and HP to survive one specific attack. Attack EV training was done on Route 1 against Lillipups and Patrats, HP training was done against Ducklets and Autonos, Special Attack training was done in Celestial Tower against Litwicks and Elgiums, Special Defense training was done in the water on Route 4 against Sprillish, Speed training was done in Wellspring Cave against Woobats, and Defense training was also done in Wellspring Cave, though against Ruggenrollas. After speeding through Victory Road, I arrive at the Pokemon League. I level up each of my Pokemon until they're just about to hit level 51, and am ready to challenge the Elite Four. Here's what my team looks like. Fear Me the Galvantula has the moves Signal Beam, Discharge, Bug Buzz, and Gastro Acid. Archie the Archeops has Acrobatics, Rock Slide, U-Turn, and Crunch. Ludwig the Stoutland has Leer, Takedown, Work Up, and Crunch. Zoomer 2000 the Zipstrika has Discharge, Flame Charge, Pursuit Charge, and Wild Charge. The Mole the Excadrill has Earthquake, Horn Drill, Slash, and Swords Dance. Hopefully I won't have to use Horn Drill, though it probably is good in a bind. Last is Serperior the Serperior, with the moves Leaf Blade, Growth, Giga Drain, and Ring Out. Ring Out is a special normal type move that is 120 base power if the opponent has full health, scaling down based on the opponent's percentage of HP remaining. I switch Stoutland to the front of the party and decide to challenge Marshall first. Marshall leads off with Throw. Crunch deals just under 50%, while Throw uses Bulldoze to try to lower Stoutland's speed. Since Stoutland is a normal type, Throw won't use a fighting type move, letting me switch into Galvantula safely, though it does take a Bulldoze that lowers its speed. Bug Buzz KOs Throw, and 2 of my Pokemon hit level 51. Bug Buzz is guaranteed to KO Conkeldurr, so I can just stay in and fire off another. Mienshao outspeeds Galvantula thanks to the speed drop, so I've got to switch out into Stoutland to take a jump kick. Still deals a lot of damage for a resisted hit though. Mienshao will either use U-Turn, Rock Slide, or Retaliate here. I debate whether to switch out or not, but decide to stay in since Mienshao has a chance of U-turning out into Sock. Stoutland outspeeds Mienshao as well, so I just have it use Crunch. This ends up being the right move as Mienshao uses U-Turn. I'm in range of a critical hit Stone Edge, so I switch out into Archeops. A resisted Stone Edge still does way too much, but I U-turn out back into Stoutland to take a Retaliate. Marshall has to heal, so this battle is over. It takes 3 crunches to KO Sock due to a second full restore, but Mienshao goes down after just 1 more to end this battle. Galvantula is pretty healthy for the battle against Chantal, so I head over there next. Chantal leads off with the Cophagrigus, which falls to a 130% accurate Bug Buzz thanks to Compound Eyes. She sends out Jellicent next, which can survive a Bug Buzz and fire back with an Energy Ball. I try to determine if there's a way I can get through this battle without risking Galvantula being critically hit, but don't see a viable option. Maybe if Archeops was a little bulkier, I could switch into it and U-turn out, but that's not a possibility here. I decide to use a slightly weaker Signal Beam so Cursed Body doesn't stop me from using Bug Buzz. Cursed Body can only disable 1 move at a time. It doesn't activate anyways, and Galvantula survives an Energy Ball, so it KOs Jellicent the next turn. That's about it for the stress this battle. Bug Buzz knocks out both Golurk and Chandelure to defeat Chantal. Grimsley is next. He has 4 Dark types, so Archeops should go nuts. Scrafty poses no challenge, being 4 times weak to Crunch. Grimsley sends out Bisharp next, since it has a super effective X-Scissor. Acrobatics actually does more against Bisharp than the 4 times super effective Crunch, as it's basically a 330 base power move versus a 320 base power move. Liepard comes out next since it has Aerial Ace. It'll always use Fake Out first though, so hopefully Archeops is left with enough HP to be out of defeatist range. That just barely doesn't happen though, so I have to switch out. Archeops U-turns for a decent amount of damage, and I send out Serperior, which takes less than 10% from Aerial Ace. Leaf Blade crits Liepard to KO it the following turn, leading to Grimsley sending out Krookodile. With an Earthquake incoming, I switch to Zipstrika. Even if Earthquake had been a critical hit, Zipstrika would have had enough HP to survive the recoil from Wild Charge the turn afterwards. Though not by much. That leaves one final battle against Caitlyn. She sends out a 125 base special attack Reuniclus with a special attack boosting nature, while I send out Excadrill and its measly 65 base special defense. A Psychic from this Pokemon is what I EV'd Excadrill to live. Swords Dance doubles Excadrill's attack, and Reuniclus uses Psychic. No critical hit, so I can just repeatedly click Earthquake now. Reuniclus, Gothitelle, Musharna, and Sigilif all fall to Earthquake, meaning I've completed 4 consecutive Elite Four battles without healing once. I now move onwards to the main event. N has apparently defeated Alder, albeit with a Zekrom. He summons a castle from underground, destroying the Pokemon League in the process. In 2011, I thought this was the coolest cutscene in Pokemon. In 2023, I still think this is the coolest cutscene in Pokemon. If you've got a favorite cutscene, comment it below. 6 of the 7 sages gang up on me as I enter the castle, but the gym leaders join in to help me out. I give everyone a high five and climb the castle. I can heal my Pokemon here thanks to Anthea and Concordia. I review my team once more to make sure the speed stats are high enough, then switch Galvantula to the front of the party. I encounter Getsis in front of the throne room. Since he's far enough away from N, he reveals that his real goal was to rule Unova. Probably one of the only two villains that are evil for the sake of being evil, Giovanni being the other. In the throne room, N calls on Zekrom to bust through the back of the room. Zekrom being present activates the Lightstone, calling forth Reshiram. I use my Master Ball on it, but decline to add it to my party. Time to battle N. He leads off with Zekrom, but a 4-time super effective discharge from Galvantula takes care of it. He sends out Klinklang next, so a Bug Buzz should KO it. But wait, the way the switch in AI works is that the Pokemon with the highest base power super effective move will be sent out, regardless of stab. Klinklang does have super effective moves, but Zoroark has Focus Blast, a 120 base power fighting type move. This is a Zoroark. I switch in Stoutland, which eats a not very effective Focus Blast. Zoroark uses Flamethrower in the next turn, and Stoutland fires back with a Crunch. Crunch deals about 80%, likely putting Zoroark into healing range. I double checked to make sure Zoroark had less than 25% of its HP remaining, and found out that the possible range was 8 to 23%. Anything lower than 25% is getting full restored. This gives me a free switch out into Archeops, and N fortunately heals up. Acrobatics KO Zoroark, leading to N sending out the real Klinklang, which has Giga Impact. Acrobatics KOs it too. N's Archeops also has Acrobatics, so he sends that out next. Mine is faster though. N sends out Caracosta, but it doesn't have anything better to hit me with than Crunch. Acrobatics brings it down to sturdy, but Crunch deals a solid chunk of damage. I don't know if N will heal or not, so I just go for Acrobatics again. There is no full restore, so N loses Caracosta. His last Pokemon is Vanillix, so I U-turn out into Serperior. Vanillix only has Blizzard, Frost Breath, and Flash Cannon as attacks, so a few Leaf Blades win me the battle. Getsis finally reveals his grand scheme to everyone else, and initializes the final boss battle. Cofagrigus will always use Toxic or Protect on the first turn, so I can get a free switch into Excadrill. Toxic fails, and now I just have to live one Shadow Ball. I get one Swords Dance up, and Shadow Ball doesn't crit. Getsis sends out Bisharp next, since it has Stone Edge, a 4-time super effective move. Bisharp doesn't have Sucker Punch though, so Slash takes it out. Getsis sends out Bouffalant next, but it also goes down to an Earthquake. Next is Electros, which forces me to switch out, since Slash won't KO, and Earthquake won't touch it thanks to Levitate. It's a little bit weird that Seismitoad wasn't sent out first though, since it has the 4-time super effective 95 base power Sludge Wave. I guess Acrobatics was detected as double power by the AI, but that brings up the question of why Bisharp was sent out second. Maybe the crit chance of Stone Edge or Night Slash factors in. I don't know. Either way, I can't switch into Serperior because of a possible Wild Charge or Zebstrika due to Acrobatics. Best thing to do is to switch into Stoutland, which takes a Crunch, surprisingly. Thanks to the Intimidate, Electros' Flamethrower is stronger than Wild Charge, both accounting and not accounting for the stats of Stoutland. I need to find a way to force Electros to go for Wild Charge, so I switch in Serperior, which takes a Flamethrower. Wild Charge would have only done 60% to Serperior, so in the worst case it would have still been forced to use Wild Charge again. I switch into Zebstrika to draw in the Wild Charge with Lightning Rod, boosting its special attack by 1 stage. I apparently did not put enough special attack EVs into Zebstrika, as Discharge has a chance to not KO Electros even with the special attack boost. If it doesn't, I'll get a free switch into Archeops at least, since Getsis is forced to heal. Discharge does end up KOing, so I've got a full health Zebstrika against Getsis' ace, Hydreigon. This Hydreigon is the fastest Pokemon of the endgame, thanks to its timid nature. Though thanks to my EV training, all my Pokemon but Stoutland and Excadrill outspeed it. Discharge does about 80%, and Hydreigon's Dragon Pulse does about the same percentage back. Getsis uses a full restore, and 2 discharges take out Hydreigon. I really wanted Excadrill to be able to take out Seismitoad since I don't really have a reliable way to KO it. I need to find a way to get an Archeops safely, so I switch to Stoutland, which takes a chunk from an Intimidated Earthquake. It seems I'm out of range of Muddy Water barring a crit, so Seismitoad will either use Rain Dance or Muddy Water. Contrary to popular belief, Seismitoad has the ability Poison Touch and not Swift Swim, so Rain Dance won't double its speed. I know Bulbapedia says Swift Swim, but in a playthrough I checked from 9 years ago, a Galvantula outsped the Seismitoad in Rain. I have Stoutland use Leer to lower Seismitoad's defense, putting it in range of Archeops' Acrobatics. Both Earthquake and Muddy Water can KO Stoutland, but Sludge Wave will not. This means I can now switch into Archeops, which will take less than 50% from either possible move. Seismitoad uses Muddy Water and doesn't get an accuracy drop. One final Acrobatic seizes this victory and marks the completion of the 13-rule Nuzlocke. Even though I played pretty well for the most part, I still ended up risking 10 game-losing critical hits this run, with 7 coming during the final 6 fights alone. This has been the most exhausting challenge I've ever undertaken, so I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments if you like this kind of challenge and would like to see another attempt at this in a later generation. Thanks for watching.